Hello and welcome to Good Games Well Played, episode 178. I'm Clint, aka JCM. With us this week is Miss Iat
Hello.
and Isley.
You little asshole. Yo.
Yo. I thought, you know what? I'm going to rearrange
I was ready.
it. Just to give this guy for a little bit of sass.
And you were waiting to see if I was drinking coffee. I was sabotaged.
Yeah, here we are. You know, not much happened this past week. I know the reviews for like Silent Hill, the remake came out. That game comes out on the 8th, so in 2 days. It's doing really well. People are liking it. I'm looking forward to playing it because I never played any of the Silent Hill games. Like I played a little bit of the first one, but I was like, you know, when you're a kid, people always go like, oh, you never played this franchise or that franchise. I'm like, I didn't have the money, man. I was the kid. I had to be like, put it on my Christmas list or my birthday list. Like that's the only time I get a. It's like, you know, until I got an allowance when I was a teenager, I was like mowing the neighbor's lawn. It's like that shit was like put on. It's like I started Resident Evil, so I just stuck with Resident Evil, man. That's why I'm PlayStation, because I got a PlayStation and I got a PS2, so I keep all my games. It's like
also Silent Hill was like the traumatic horror game that was advertised as like, I mean, at the time having, you know, sexual themes and gore and stuff way more than Resident Evil. What parents buying that for their 8-year-old or whatever?
Yeah. So it's like I never got to it. And then I know there's been like a ton of them. I think there's been almost, well, no, there's been way more. There's been more Resident Evil games because there's been like Revelations 2, and some other stuff. But I was gonna say, is there more Silent Hill games than Resident Evil? But there is not.
There's definitely more Resident Evil games, but a lot of like spin-off games, whereas Silent Hill games, they try to be canonical and not always successful.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like I you know, a lot of opportunities to jump into the franchise, but it's like, okay, but at this point, like, if I play Silent Hill The Room, which I don't think reviewed well back in the day, but it's like, it would say it reviewed well, versus like, you know, nowadays where it's like Yakuza comes out. I mean, Yakuza suffered the same problem for a long time until they had like a Dragon, where it's like, you know, hey, get there, and then they did, you know, Yakuza 0, so it's like, okay, you can kind of go back to the start, but with this, it's like, there's never... I didn't feel like there was a good opportunity to jump in. Even the 2 remake is weird because I didn't finish 1. I only played a itty bitty amount of it when I was a kid. So it's like, I guess I saw the movie. There you go. But but anyway, I'm looking forward to it.
Silent Hill was one of those games where it's like, we rented it for a weekend, a friend and I, whenever I would like stay the night, and it was like too spooky. Mm-hmm. So it's like, first of all, why did anybody let us rent this game when we were in middle school or high school or whatever to begin with? And second of all, I don't think I really paid much attention to it anyway because I was hiding behind my friend. Yeah. So, but I know a lot about it.
Graphics back then, it's like, I'm sure if parents saw it, they think like, there's no way something like this can be scary. You put that controller in your hand and you're in charge of the life of the character. It's an entirely different thing.
Now your children are traumatized.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I've played 1, 2, and 3. Obviously, because it's not quite so spooky. But now with the remake, I'm like, oh, that'll be really fun. It looks better now, and I might be scared. So I don't know.
Yeah. I see. If I do play it, I figure, you know what, it's probably a good game to stream. You know, everyone's gonna be streaming it, but I was like, you know what, I never played it first time playthrough, so that'd be fun. But yeah, other than that, like I said, there wasn't a lot of big stuff this week. One of the sad bits of news for me was that The Alters, which is from you know, developers of Frostpunk 2 and This War of Mine, 11-bit studios, they delayed it out of Q4 of this year into Q1 of next year. It's a game I was really looking forward to. But hey, if you need more time, go ahead, take your time. I can always replay Frostpunk 2 on harder difficulties, so I can make different choices and side with different factions, and there's also some other, like, I think, like, Utopia modes and other, like, endless survival modes in there that I can give a try. So, and then I also saw that Metal Gear Solid Delta, I guess Konami realized there's an issue with adding in the modern camera to where it made the game way more easier than having that, you know, fixed camera from the original one. And it's like, yeah, do you guys not remember Twin Snakes? Like,
no kidding.
Being able to go in first person in Twin Snakes, the remake of Metal Gear Solid 1, it's like that made that game extra easy. You know? So it was just like, it was so weird that they wouldn't think ahead that, oh, you know, maybe adding an entirely new perspective or way to play this game would make it simpler. But now they had to up the difficulty settings essentially to combat that. So I'm like, okay, do what you got to do. I did think that was a funny thing. It's like, you know, typically, you know, in testing, it's always like, oh, this fight's too hard, or, you know, the Atreus is doesn't feel like he's being helpful enough. He's kind of an annoyance in playtesting for like God of War. And they make like tweaks there. It's usually never like, yeah, your game's a little easy. Like, I'm not challenged at all. I'm playing on big boss difficulty, and it's too simple. But and speaking of God of War, the Ragnarok PC version came out, and there's a mod called Please Shut Up, which turns off all companion puzzle hints, which I thought was really funny. Because I felt like when I played Ragnarok, even the first one, I didn't feel like they were too quick to. I mean, we only had like maybe one or two times in those games where like, okay, it feels like they talked a little too fast, and it's like you're just telling me stuff that I know. Like I don't need it, but I didn't feel like I was taking too long. I did really like though in Ragnarok, especially when like in the first game you come across those like bramble bushes over chests, and it's like you clearly can't get them until, spoilers, you get the Blades of Chaos. But I like in Ragnarok when you run around, especially with like, I noticed it at first with Freya, and you try to like shoot something in the environment that clearly you don't have the ability to unlock yet, and like she'll say, I don't think we can deal with this yet. I'm like, that's helpful. That way I'm not just wasting my time like, how do I get this? What I need? It's like, oh, well, clearly what I need, I don't have yet. So I thought that was nice. But I never felt like I ran into too many, issues with them telling me how to solve a puzzle. I don't know. What about you, Wesley? Did you have the problem at all?
In Ragnarok, I don't feel like, it's been a while since I played, I don't feel like I ever had any actual challenges on the puzzles. I feel like most of the time I tended to be like, shut the hell up. So I kind of agree with the mod.
Yeah, I guess, and if you get to that point, again, where they don't give you hints to every single bit, usually it's like a jumping off point, like a jumping off hint. And when you've already solved that jumping off hint, and it's just me trying to figure out the rest of it, I guess it's like, okay, don't stop telling me what if we do something with those vines? Yeah, Atreus, I know. I'm just trying to figure out, hey, I'm clearly hitting the vines. Like, that should trigger a don't say this. It's me like looking, where's the third vine? Or working on my timing so I destroy all the vines in quick enough succession, or I line them up properly. You know what I mean? It's like, I know what I'm doing. Just give me a moment. But
this is honestly something I generally feel with most games that have puzzles nowadays, is that the hints for solving those puzzles come like freaking immediately. And generally, unless you're playing a game like Talos Principle or something, that the game is literally designed around puzzles, so like The Witness, Talos Principle, things like that, where they obviously won't give you hints. Any type of like exploration game just makes it way too obvious. I wish there was a greater level of intelligent exploration that you weren't handheld through in games like that. Yeah, man, that's one of my biggest pet peeves with kind of current open world games.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Like you said, in those games, they don't have it like viewfinder. They're not telling you, giving hints or whatever. It's like, no, This is the puzzle game. Subliminal's not giving you, hey, line it up this way. It's like, no, you just gotta solve it. But yeah. And then I saw an interesting article, and I don't know how to. It just seemed weird to me. So, in Final Fantasy XIV, I guess when a housing site in one of the housing regions of the game goes, like the estates areas, like I guess if they're not used, or like if you don't set foot in a house for like a certain amount of time, it just goes away. And so like the lot opens up. So they call it like housing demolition. I'm assuming it just disappears. Like there's no animation for it. It's just like it's gone.
Yeah, that way goes vacant.
Yeah, it's kind of like, an AFK kicker for players in the game, where it's like, hey, if guys aren't using the plot of land that you got, do they get refunded, or is it No, okay, so it just gets destroyed. So it's like, okay, you're not using this, so we're going to free it up because there's only so much space, which is a funny concept to me. It's like, why is there only limited space? But I guess you'd have to have more server locations.
That's been a thing since they introduced housing. So they're working on trying to alleviate that, especially now that they have more resources and server space and stuff like that. But yeah, that's been an argument. Like, why is it not just a housing area and like your house is instanced? They wanted to create like a kind of like neighborhood community thing that doesn't really get utilized very many places. So people want options to like, okay, I want to live in like a neighborhood with my little community because we have been living there and stuff like that. But for the people that don't want that, like just give them an instanced house.
Yeah, it's not like there's an HOA that in the game that makes it fun to be in a community. It's like just you're not.
To be
you don't
clear,
have to worry
HOAs never make it fun to be in a community.
I know. But I'm saying like there's no there's no positive, and there's also no red tape. It's not like, oh, how are we gonna get enough water to this plot of land? It's gonna we can't. It's gonna put electrical grid strain on the electrical grid if we put them over here. Like it's a virtual space. Just like add more. But anyway, so they have this auto demolition that takes place, and because of the hurricane that's going on, or that happened, they're like, okay, we're going to put a pause in it because of the hurricane, which was such a weird, I don't know, to me it just seemed kind of strange, like it's a video game. It's not like when Motorstorm Apocalypse was going to come out, but then the tsunami hit Japan, and like, we're not going to release this because it's about natural disasters. That made sense. You know what I mean? Like, it's close to home. This is just like, hey, your house, you didn't use it, we're just going to make it go away. It's not like, now if players were affected by the hurricane who played FF14 and now they can't go to their house in their virtual game in 45 days because they're rebuilding, I guess that's how you could do it, because you can be like, okay, we don't want to potentially ruin, but you'd have the player data, I guess, right? Be like, okay, where are our players located?
Well, yeah, the thing is, they do this with every major disaster. Whenever there's like an earthquake in Japan, whenever there's like flooding anywhere, if there's any kind of like major disaster or major like global event or something like that, they tend to do this. So this is not the first time that they've done it.
I guess
they did it with COVID. They did it with COVID as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Because like obviously people were getting very, very sick, and that video game was not their priority. So like they're very lenient with it. They do it a lot because they understand that like, yeah, people need to take breaks because of like life emergencies and stuff like that. But if it's like on a massive scale, and Yoshida has said in the past, like, we do this because we don't want you to be worried about being treated unfairly when clearly you have something more important to be dealing with in your life. So like, don't worry about the video game. It will be here when your life is back together and you're safe and stuff like that. So it's like, that's why they do it.
But then my question is like, okay, well, how do you determine when you turn it back? It just says temporary suspend. It's not like they went in and they go, oh, we reset the timer across the board for it to where, okay, you have 45 days to get your life back in order. It's not like that. So it's just like we suspended it. But I'm like, when do you choose? Because rebuilding takes a long time. Like when my city burned down, a huge chunk of it, like that section, like this huge residential section that burned down called Coffee Park, like it took a long time for that section rebuild. More than 45 days, obviously. So I'm just like, okay, who decides like, okay, turn it back on? It's like it's like that joke that some people make, I guess, like where you change your icon to be a flag to represent something that's going on, a war, whatever. It's like, but at some point you're gonna have to you change it. Not everybody does it, but some people do. Who's like, okay, this is where I am. Here's what I'm supporting right now. Now I'm gonna change it to something else. It's like, at what point do you make that change? So I'm curious, like how they decide when to turn it back on.
I think they tend to just monitor the situation. So like with COVID, obviously they didn't know how long it was going to be going. So they did like the 45 days. They suspended it for like one round or whatever. And then they suspended it for 2 rounds. And then when eventually FanFest that year got canceled and everything, they're like, we're just going to suspend it indefinitely and we'll monitor the situation or whatever. So usually they'll monitor like, they're pretty good about monitoring how long like something is going on. And then usually once things have settled down and you're not like people rebuild and stuff like that, it'll be a little bit afterwards that they'll reinstate it. They don't usually, if they don't have an end date, it means it's just going to be reinstated when they feel like people aren't affected by it anymore.
Yeah.
So sometimes it'll be for like, I think with,
did they do it for those huge fires that happened in like the Tubbs fire was 2017, and then there was the LNU complex fire in 2018, I think. And there's like 1 year where it was like California had record fires, plus it was like Oregon, Washington, like part of Canada, and like people from Australia, like Australian firefighters flew in. Like there was that year where like the upper left of the U.S. was like just on fire. Was that another one where they turned it off?
I think they did it for that. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly because I don't have a house, so I don't tend to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
But they do it quite often. Yeah.
Okay. I guess it's weird that I've never seen it reported on. So I suppose if it is common, like for every disaster, then okay, that makes a little more sense. It was where I was like, why? I was like, why did this one pop up just for this instance? Because they showed like it's beachfront property in the picture. I'm like, is that why? like,
No,
okay,
I think outlets are just starting to pick up more like mundane Final Fantasy XI news now because it's gotten so popular. So I think they're just kind of like, it's a slow news day. What's going on in Final Fantasy XIV and stuff like that. So, but yeah, they've done it before. I think they did it. They did it at the beginning of the Ukrainian war too. Like,
yeah, I was about to ask if they did.
So they did it for that. I don't know if they did it at the beginning of the Gaza thing. I'm not sure. I don't know if they have like a huge player base in the Middle East. So maybe
do
not.
They do it? Do they do it by regions? Like the Japanese housing and the Japanese servers is fine, or is it across all?
It's across
servers?
all. It's probably easier for them to just do it across all.
Yeah.
So it's not like per data center, because I know some people play outside of their region, or like they go to different data centers and stuff like that to play now.
Mhm.
So it's probably easier for them to just do it across all housing. And it would be like way too much manpower for them to be like, okay, well, this account is registered to this region, so that is the region that's affected, so we'll suspend just that account. It's just much easier for them to do it across the board.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I think the very first time that they did it, I can't remember exactly the situation that they did it for, but Yoshida put out this like big explanation of why they were doing it, and they haven't really posted anything like that since, but that was kind of like, here's the reason that we're doing this now, and we will continue to do it in the future. So it's like, I think it has a lot to do with like people reaching out to them, because they have a lot of community involvement and community management. So they feel like a lot of people are starting to reach out to them like, hey, my friends are affected or they can't log in and stuff like that. Can you do the suspension? This is like a big thing that's going on. They'll tend to do it a little bit more quickly.
All right. Well, that's good then, I guess, if they've been doing it a while.
It's kind of like hey, we know our housing system isn't fantastic, so we're going to be a little bit lenient with how we manage it, kind of thing, until we get something in place that is disaster proof. So yeah, which is kind of nice, because it's like, hey, we acknowledge that this isn't perfect, so we don't want you to worry about losing this thing that you not only had to get extremely lucky to get in the first place in this video game, but you've also invested time and money and resources and yada yada yada. It's like, don't worry, your house will be here when you get back to your real house.
Yeah. Moving on to that, I was trying to see if there anything else great. But the last bit of news I saw, so Sony announced the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster. They did this thing on the back end where on PlayStation, and we talked about it, I believe we talked about it at the time, they raised the price of Horizon on console up about $20, I guess, to kind of counter people who were buying it at $20 bucks, let's say, whatever it was, to upgrade it for $10 for free to get remastered if they didn't already own the game. So like, okay, well, let's bump up the price and then people can get the upgrade. It's like, okay, that's a little a little shitty. But then someone was saying on PC that you can't just get Horizon Zero Dawn by itself anymore. Like you can't buy it. Like it's available if you own it, obviously, but you can't just buy Horizon Zero Dawn. So when I try to buy Horizon Zero Dawn on Steam, the only thing that's available is the Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition, which is $40, and it comes with the remastered upgrade. So you have to get it in the bundle. Like you can't just buy the base game on its own.
Oh, weird.
So yeah, like they're like, oh well, because we have that, we'll kind of like delist it. Because yeah, if you search for Horizon Zero Dawn on the thing, it's like, oh, let's look. There's just the Complete Edition, and if you go to add it to your cart, it's automatically the remaster bundle. Or you can go to Finrest, so you can't just get it on its own. You have to get the remaster bundle if you go to buy it. You can't just buy Horizon Zero Dawn that came out on PC.
Weird.
Which is so weird. It's like this game that released in 4 years ago on PC. It's like you can't buy. You can only get the remaster bundle with it. And now the one thing I am curious is, okay, you're forcing the bundle, my assumption is still that, I can at least still play Zero Dawn. It's just now that you make require the effort, which is so strange. But because they do that, it also, the remaster requires a PSN account. So now it's essentially delisted Horizon Zero Dawn from purchasing in countries that do not have PlayStation Network.
What
so
a fucking mess.
Right?
What are you guys doing?
Exactly. I was like, I don't know. It's like, just leave the one and then don't require the PSN on the one from 2020. And then, if people want the remastered, I guess, like, if that's going to be, because it's quote unquote new, do that. But then at least the other edition, now maybe it's like they could still buy it, but it's like, I don't know. I'm really curious. Like, I almost want to buy it and then refund it just so I could see, like, okay, if I buy it and I go to launch Horizon Zero Dawn, does that require it, or is it only the Zero Dawn remaster that does? So it's like I can't tell from the Steam page, what it requires. But it's just like, it's so weird.
It's like nobody learns anything from any situation they've ever been in, where it's like, this had to go through so many people just to get on the store in this state, and nobody was like, hey, this is probably a bad idea. But somebody higher up was just like, I don't care, just do it.
Yeah, it's so strange. But anyways, I got to get this off my wish list. I put it on just because I was curious what it would look like.
I don't want this. I have this.
Yeah, I already own it. I don't need it. But yeah, it's just so weird. I don't know. Weird moves.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, just strange behavior. Sony, they're, especially when it's like, I don't know who's making these decisions up top. It's like, hey, this is what we should do. But just bad moves all around.
Weird.
But yeah, other than that, like I said, not too much from this week. I try to see, like, hey, what else there might have been. But no, I know Diablo. I think the Diablo was Vessel of Hatred reviews came out. I think people are saying it's pretty good. But I'm in no rush. I've been watching a smaller streamer play through the base game, just trying to get prepped for Vessel of Hatred, and like he was reading one of the reviews. And the reviewer was talking about stuff, some changes, yada yada. It's like, but some of the changes are like stuff that they made in the game post-launch, like in recent seasons. So I'm like, did the reviewer for this particular website, like, did they play all the seasons? Like, are they aware of, that these changes aren't specific to the DLC? But yeah, I don't know. But anyways, we'll see how that does. It's, obviously popular, but yeah, it's again a game that we never finished. Easily, but
we're really good at finishing games.
Right. We actually got super far in Diablo. Like, we were pretty close right there in the final. I think we were in the final act, right? We were just doing side stuff.
I can't remember. Diablo was one of those games that, like, I loved it for like 4 hours, and then I was just like, I'm tired of this. It just like my interest in it just like dropped off so quickly. Well, I don't know. I don't know what it is about Diablo 4. I loved Diablo 2, but I've kind of come to the realization that I don't think Diablo 3 or Diablo 4 are bad games. I think that, like, when I played Diablo 2, it was just because I think I was in middle school or high school at the time or something, and I just had like way too much fucking time on my hands, like just way too much time. And with this game, I'm like, man, the actual fun part doesn't start until you're like level 80 or something, after you've beat the main story and already dumped in like 50 hours into this game. That's when you start getting the fun gear. And by that point, you're so fucking burnt out. You're like, well, maybe I'll just start a new character. So you don't even get to play with the fun gear. And I think that I just don't have it in me to play games like this anymore, because there have been so many games recently where the structure of the game is essentially like you grind to get to the end game, and then the end game is where the like quote unquote real game begins. And games like that now, just like, I get bored. I just lose interest, get bored, stop playing, and then like 2 years later I'll be like, oh yeah, I never beat that game.
Yeah, it was like, the problem I had with 4 is that it was easy. But if you up the difficulty, it was like you're just making things spongier, and the reward for doing so isn't that great. And so it's like, because I kept on like, should we increase the world tier? And it was like, nah, because it's just like, it just makes things take longer, and you don't get much reward for it because you haven't finished the game. Like you said, you have to get to the end to where upping the difficulty tier actually matters, because you get better loot drops. And it was just like, even in 3, like I went through and played it like, I think maybe I guess I consider like was it like New Game Plus? I forget how exactly it works in that game, but it was like okay, I beat it once, then I played it again, and then I think maybe I started a third one just to see like okay now you can make it harder or whatever, but it didn't seem to do that much. But again, at that point, I was like I played so much of this, it's just the same content, just higher. It's like let me change the difficulty earlier and have it be meaningful. Like at least in I praise Marvel's Midnight Suns for us all the time. Like I like that they dole out the difficulty increases to you as you learn the mechanics. But there's so many mechanics that unlock over the course of that game that the difficulty, sure, increasing the damage that the enemies do and the HP that they have is standard, but you're learning how to do more and more things, and you're also upgrading your cards. So it's like your upgrade path doesn't plateau early and the difficulty just stays high. It's like your upgrade path continues to improve as the difficulty is also improving. So it's like, yeah, it's getting tougher, but you're learning more, you're getting more gameplay mechanics that help balance out that. It's like you have to start mastering these additional things. Whereas like I never felt like that with the Diablo games. And it's like, yeah, just again, it just got too easy. And I was like, the only reason I kept playing it is because we were playing it co-op. Like if I was playing it solo, I probably like I wouldn't have played it solo anyways. The only reason I got it was because we played co-op. So it's like I was like I don't really feel like playing this, but you're like, yo, you want to play it? And I'm like, sure, I'll play it if you play it. And that was fun. But like overall, it was still, I mean, but that's Resident Evil 6 as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I would love to. I'll probably go back to Diablo 4 at some point in the future, just because I feel like I had like 4 trophies left. Like I feel like I had to, well, maybe not, because one of the trophies was get to level 100. I don't know if that'll ever happen for me. But like it's games that just don't respect your time in general. And I know people love Diablo, but man, there needs to be some way to like get gear in that game where you can level it up or like rescale it to your level and not just instantly lose great pieces of gear. Like let us pay an exorbitant amount of money or something to rescale gear to your current level. Maybe that's a feature that's been added. Who knows?
I think there is that now because it's like because what's it named? Doesn't Outriders do that as well? But like I was watching the Trisket play, and like that's essentially seems like what you do when you have like you've got your unique set, and then it's like okay, get some stuff. There's a smith that will kind of retool it and make it also higher, but sometimes it could be like bad stat rolls because you still have like okay, the stats that will roll on it could be like the percentage range of the bonus is between a certain level, because he had a piece where it was like he had a level whatever, and he got a drop of a higher level one because he was playing a higher difficulty. So instead of upgrading the base piece he had, he just went to go try to reroll stats on the higher level one, but it came out with stats less than the one. So it's like the lower level item had the high end rolls, whereas the higher level one like RNG the low end rolls. So like it made it worse. But I think there is stuff like that because it's like, and they did change. He said they changed leveling to where it's now really fast to level up a character, because obviously the way the seasons work in the game, you have to roll a new character anyways. Mm-hmm. But he did say like it goes super fast now. Like I was watching him, he went from like he'll play for a couple hours each night, and he gets through, like he started rolling a new wizard. I don't know what the class is called, but like he's rolled a new one and he got it up super quick. Like he was trying to get it up to the level cap because his druid was already level cap. And like it's like, damn, you did that super fast. And it's like, yeah, you can just put in a couple hours. Like it's pretty quick. And he was doing it solo. He wasn't doing it with anybody else. So I'd be curious to see like you said, you're short that one trophy for like max level, like how quickly you could actually get it. But yeah, it's I mean, I'm sure everybody will play it.
I mean, it seems like it's getting good reviews. Nothing against the game. Just there are other things I'd rather play right now.
Yeah. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else I missed. I know that new Zelda game came. Did that Zelda game come out, or did reviews just come out?
It came out.
It came out.
I wasn't sure if it came out on Friday. Yeah.
I think that was out last week. The last podcast we have, yeah.
Oh, maybe. I guess we
No, it came out on
we wouldn't have talked about it.
Oh, yeah, it came out Thursday. Not this last Thursday, but the previous Thursday.
Okay, maybe we didn't talk about it because you weren't here, Zaya. That must have been why. because like we figured if anybody was going to play it, it would have been you, but because I'm not a Zelda person. But man, you were there. Yeah, we were. So speaking of Zelda, at the end of after I'm done streaming, I usually like do like trivia stuff. I do like movie to movie. I do Cine to Nerdle, and there's a guess the game, and then there's one where it's called Game Duel, and they have one mode where it's like you just type in a game and it kicks out information about like the perspective, the engine, the publisher, the subcategories if it's like a first person shooter, adventure, action, RPG, stuff like that, and like all these what console it's on and all this other stuff, and it tells you like it's kind of like Wordle in the sense that if the game you're trying to guess doesn't match any of those categories of the game you guessed, it'll be red. If it matches some of them, it'll be yellow, and if it's 1-to-1, if it's perfect, it'll be green. And so it's like you're trying to guess the game by guessing other games, and it'll tell you like, oh, this game came out, it came out sooner than 2007. She's like, okay, I gotta think higher than that. So I had one the other day, and it was like I got to the point where I was guessing Zelda, and it was like I was guessing a bunch of Zelda games. It's like wrong franchise, correct saga, or something like that. So I'm like, okay, so it's not the Legend of Zelda, but I guess like so many Legend of Zelda games, and I couldn't think of it, and it turned out to be like, what was it, Smash Brothers Brawl or something like that?
We got stuck because it was like, okay, it's a Zelda game, but it's a side view game, and I was like, yeah, the only side view Zelda game is Zelda 2. So like, is it talking about like the Virtual Console or whatever? And then it turned out to be Smash Brothers. I was like,
it's like this is not right franchise at all. Like this isn't the game. Like this is not correct. Like you should have told me like a character is correct. That should have been like the clue. But it was just so frustrating. But anyways, it's a fun game, but sometimes it can be a little frustrating. But yeah, it was like this isn't the right saga at all, man. Come on.
This isn't the correct franchise at all. What do you mean?
Yeah,
it's not even semantically correct. It's completely wrong.
It's like I wouldn't call that a Mario game. Even though Mario's in it. Wrong franchise, correct saga. It's like no.
Imagine you're trying to guess a Mario game and it's like, Super Smash Brothers.
Yep.
Or Metroid or literally anything.
Yeah. Punch Out. It's like that. What? but yeah, that was funny. But yeah, not much else. I know there's some other stuff that has been coming out, but all like sports games and yada yada, this and that. Nothing big. I'm sorry, I saw an article pop up, but I forgot to save. But I guess I'll cover that next week because right now it's just rumors. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the news. So we can go ahead and jump over to what we've been playing. Zai, you were out last week, so we'll go ahead and start with you.
The answer is nothing.
Nothing.
I've been so busy. So the reason I was out last weekend is because we went to visit my dad in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
So like spent all week basically getting ready for that. But also that same week, we had to take Francis to the vet like that Monday. Oh. He had to get a tooth removed and his teeth cleaned. So they gave him a pain shot that was supposed to last a few days. So he was all wobbly and loopy and drooly and just not functioning pretty much up until the day we left. So that was pretty much my week then. And then we got back and he was sick. He had a little cold. So that's been my week this week. It's just caring for Cat. But I mean, I have been playing little stuff. I played obviously on the trip there and the trip back. I played on my Switch, but it was basically just stuff that I've played before, little farming games and sim games and stuff like that, just to keep me busy. Stuff that's easy to hop in and hop out of. So that's really all I've been doing. Still checking in on like Star Rail and stuff like that. So, but nothing new or exciting or of a different genre of any kind.
Yeah, I know when you were in chat, my cousin asked if you were playing 14. You said, no, you got to get back into it.
Yeah, haven't played it last like 2 or 3 weeks. I did some of the Arcadian stuff. I didn't finish it, so I need to finish like the last 2 fights, I think. And then I need to get back on getting my tomestones so I can get my gear up because the new Alliance raid is coming next month at some point. They just said sometime mid-November. But we're going to plan a day because it's the, what is it called? Echoes of Vana'diel or something like that. So the friends that I occasionally play 14 with, they also played 11. That's where I know them from. So we're all going to get together on a day and play the raid together. So probably won't be the day that it comes out, but I need to get stuff ready so that I actually have the eye level required to do the raid.
Yeah, that's good. Gotta get that going.
But that's pretty much it. I've been a boring little old lady scrapbooking in my free time.
Better than Gremlin. Yeah, I was gonna ping. I was like, man, I keep looking at like in Steam when you favorite a game, it'll be on the top of your library list, and so I like have like a couple things I've been playing recently, and up there, I guess I get rid of chances aren't being in the favorites. I don't need it there, but like a Escape Simulator. I was like, man, I kind of want to play some more Escape Simulator, and I was like, I should see if Michael and Zion want to play, but I was like, they're probably busy because I know obviously you're out, and then I was like, I don't think Zaya plays too much like when I'm gaming. Like I was surprised you were in chat the past 2 nights. I was like, isn't Zaya normally asleep by now? But
it's weekend, that's why.
I guess that's true. Yeah, it is the weekend. Yeah, it wasn't like
I get to stay up a little bit later. Yay!
This is true. What about you, Isley? What have you been playing?
I was muted. I went back and started playing Horizon again, which mostly just because of all the news of the remaster and everything coming out. So I started playing Horizon. God, why am I blanking on which one is the first one and which one is the second one? I've been playing the second one, Zero Dawn. No.
That's the first one. Second one's Forbidden West.
I've been playing Forbidden West. I'm like, why am I blanking on the names? I have trouble with games when they're not.
Burning Shores is the other DLC.
Yeah, I've been having trouble with 1 and 2. Playing Forbidden West again, just because they were talking about the Zero Dawn remaster, and I just kind of wanted to hop in and play something that I've beaten before, but not get too invested in before Silent Hill comes out, because I really want to play Silent Hill in October. And man, I went down a rabbit hole of, I had like a brain fart moment, much like I literally just did, about who the voice actress was for Aloy, and started Googling Horizon Forbidden West, and holy shit, people are, there's so much stupid controversy over this game that like I must have always been oblivious to, but man, there's a very
She's got hair on her face.
Yeah, there's a very vocal minority that like hates Aloy.
Yeah, the person that like did the AI filter on her, because there's that one like admittedly it's like a picture that a friend would have taken of you, like a bad picture, like it's like okay that where she's got, it's like the angle and the lighting is not perfect, like if it was a real life photo, and then the person would like gasify it or whatever and just make her like, that's like, no, this is what men want, yada yada, like one of those bad tweets.
I mean, it's not important at all to the game, and I'm not even going to justify it by explaining the bullshit. It was more of just like, it kind of made me laugh and also be like, man, I just need to stay off the internet sometimes. Like, just not Google shit. If I'm playing a game and I have a random question, I'll just bug you instead. I'll just be like, hey, who's the voice actress for this? Because otherwise I'm going to go down the rabbit hole of all the bullshit drama. But been replaying Forbidden West. I loved the game the first time it came out. I'm in that current mode where I decided to replay it on ultra hard, so like the tutorial stuff is turned off, and man, I forgot how to do like everything in that game. I just like, I couldn't remember the controls. It throws you in with all the weapons, so I'm like trying to relearn it with like all the weapons that I have, and I'm like, what does this do? What does this do? What does this arrow do? How do I recraft stuff? How do I do a double jump? How do I jump up and climb anything? How do I repel? Like, I just couldn't remember anything, and it was really awkward. But man, that's just a gorgeous game.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and then the Burning Shores DLC was even like, because it was PS5 only, I believe. It's like, that looked great.
But then come Monday or Tuesday, or I didn't pay for the early access, but I'll get Silent Hill 2 Remake and play through that, and people seem to love it so far. It's getting decent reviews. It seems like there are parts of it that are like a little bit clunky, but I love playing horror games in October, so I'll probably play Silent Hill and then maybe play through the Dead Space remake again. Trying to think of other like horror games that came out this year. Can't really think of too many.
Was that game had an early release? It wasn't just like, hey, if you're a streamer, like streamers got access to it. There's actually a.
I don't think it was just streamers. I thought it was like the expensive version. Like if you bought the like $300 version or something, you got it a few days early.
Like an early access type of thing.
Weird.
Because I saw somebody streaming it. I saw somebody streaming it last night, and then somebody that I follow on Instagram was talking about how they started playing it like really late at night. So.
I don't think it was just streamers that got it today. I think it was anyone that paid for the like super deluxe limited edition version.
Yeah, I do see that. Oh, I got to go back to the damn page again. I say I was born in 1948. Sorry, you're not permitted to view the material because you weren't born in 1948. Liar. Okay. It does say advanced access for $80 if you buy the $8 edition. Purchase this edition to play the game now ahead of the full release. So it looks like, oh yeah, people must have paid the $80. At least it's not crazy amount. But yeah, I'm like, okay, you're paying $10 more, and I don't know what else. It's the digital deluxe, so it probably just has digital. You get the dope skins, the Fortnite skins and whatnot. No, I don't know. But okay, so that's not too bad. But yeah, I'm not gonna pay that.
Basically, if you bought anything other than just the base, or if you pre-ordered anything other than the base game, I think.
Yeah.
But the physical edition, didn't it have like a big physical like special edition or whatever?
Probably does.
Thought they all.
It's got overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam so far.
Maybe if it comes with like a really, really good Pyramid Head statue, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Might buy that.
I think
like
it came with something. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I never have room for that stuff. I wish I did.
Well, I don't have room for it, but it doesn't mean I don't want it.
I think it should come with a life-size Pyramid Head or a Pyramid Head hat, and then you could just like play the game with your little Pyramid Head helmet on.
The hat would be so cool. I regret not
it.
getting the Elden Ring edition that came with the helm.
Mm-hmm.
What's it? Millennia? It didn't come. It came with like her hat.
Dude, am I misremembering? That wasn't actually like. That was like a 75% scale thing, right? Like it didn't fit on adult heads. It was like a baby helmet thing.
Okay, but I could put it on my cat.
Okay, that's true. That'd be adorable.
Yeah, maybe Zai's got a 75% sized head. You don't know.
I am small.
Also true.
Yeah.
Also true.
Yes. Yeah, you got to commission like a cosplayer. Commission Jessica Negri for the Pyramid Head helmet. 'Cause she does that cosplay. It is funny seeing like all the. I don't remember if they did this during Halloween last year, but a lot of cosplayers that I follow who are doing the nurses from the House of Healing in Baldur's Gate 3. I'm like, hey.
Oh, yeah.
Those are basically Silent Hill as well.
Yeah. I'm like, this is great time for those cosplays because it's the spooky season.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people.
And all they'd have to do is alter their Silent Hill 2 nurses that they all have.
That's true. Yeah, just change this a bit, make them a little less grimy, a little more, more clothes, I suppose. But
oh no, that's out of the question.
Got the headpiece, but yeah. Well, they'll take those clothes off as they progress through the photo shoot, depending on what tier they release it as, right? But
this is for Instagram. This is for OnlyFans.
Right. This is for Twitter, where I can blur it a bit. But yeah, I don't think if I played anything besides Elden Ring. No, I think I've just been playing Elden Ring this week. It's funny. I was looking at my notes. It's like, has it really been? This is from early on in the. Yeah, because when was the? There was a Verizon outage this week. I want to say on Monday.
Yeah.
Like the network is down like everywhere across the U.S. and then the PlayStation network was down later that night. So on Monday night I was playing Elden Ring, but I didn't have any notes anywhere, so it was offline mode only.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, so it's like I got down to the spooky woods section, and like there's 3 system notes on the ground, and it was like, don't let it see you, or it can't be seen. Don't let it see you. Once it sees you, you're dead. And it's like you can't even hit it. And it's like what? And then I'm like, and like you're going around. There's like a big spooky section. So I went through there. That was fun. It's kind of fun going around seeing like no notes. But then I got to the castle that you get to in that section, and so there's no notes. And I run inside the castle, and it's like, okay, there's a site of grace right at the start, and I see this painting. I'm like, man, this giant painting looks like something out of Dark Souls 3 or something, or like you take it to like a DLC area or something like you jump through it Mario style. And then so I'm running around, and it's a small loop. I'm like, man, where else do I go? And then I'm like running around trying to look for like a back entrance to this place, and there's none. And I go back, and I'm like, motherfucker. And so then I run inside, and I go up to the paint, I smack it, and of course it's a invisible wall. I'm like, God damn it. And then
I was right.
The second time, I know I knew something stood out about that painting. I should have just smacked it to begin with, but because there's no notes in front of it saying try attacking. And then later when I found a second painting, I just hit it immediately, and like there was a second false wall, and then I was like, okay. And then when I played the next day and the network was back online, I went there and I was like, yep. Sure enough, there's like tons of notes that say try attacking. So it was kind of fun to play without any notes because there's also no like beware left notes or shit like that. So it was kind of fun. Granted, it's like the notes are kind of what make the Souls games fun from a multiplayer perspective. It's like, that, and then like the Death Stranding leaving items behind, like they're two really fun, like asymmetrical multiplayer components that are awesome. And so it's like that was cool. And then trying to see what else here I have notes wise for Elden Ring, but it did make it tough because I was trying to figure out how to get out of the area, and there's it's so weird how much of this extra zone that I went to has so many like segmented areas that once you get there, you can't get to the other area that it's next to, because the other area it's next to is kind of it's like more of a mountainous region, so you have to I was trying to find my way down to that, and that took a while. I ended up going up to explore some upper level stuff that I didn't finish, and that turned out to lead down to where I needed to go. But that can be a little frustrating there in the DLC, is trying to figure out how to get to a spot on the map that I can clearly see. Because what made that one section annoying with the spooky forest was I could see on the map where the map pillar was. And I was I want to get the map pillar. But I couldn't get to it from where I was in that section. I had to go all the way around an entirely different spot. So not having it be a little more, I guess, Dark Souls 2 in that sense of not everything's perfectly connected. Got a little frustrating when I'm running around blindly trying to figure out how to get to another spot. But
the map is very vertical. So it's a small-ish map, but there's a lot to explore just because of the verticality of it. But it also is very interesting the way that they connected these things. So it's there's always a way to get to somewhere on the map, but it's not necessarily as straightforward as it was in the base game. So it's interesting in that respect, but it's also the amount of hours I wasted trying to get down to that forest is I could have beaten this so much faster.
Yeah. Had I when I think what was I talking, I had asked you how do you get down there? To initially to the lower section, you said something along the lines of, it's you got to search an area. So I ended up where I had stopped before I started streaming this game again, because I played it I think right before I started streaming more regularly, was at Mesmer. So then I was okay, I'll just run around the castle and look around, and there was this one area that led down to a coffin that you take down a waterfall, and there's another coffin you can take down a waterfall, and that's how you get down to that area that eventually leads to the forest. But yeah, to get to the dragon altar, it's you have to go to the highest point of the first zone that leads you to a POI that takes an elevator all the way down. Once you finish the dungeon, you beat a boss, there's a back door, and then you can get out on top. I'm okay, this is so not what I was expecting. Also, that one, I was trying to figure out how to get to that one village, and you're oh, you just go to this point of interest. And I'd been to that point of interest because it's early game in the DLC, but I was just running around. There's a lot of I wasn't as powerful, so I was trying to avoid some enemies, and there's a lot of those blade dancer guys around that zone. And I found a scad tree upgrade. I was okay, great. I'm not going to explode because I don't want to fight this guy right now. I'm just kind of running around, getting on the map. But the problem with this is in Resident Evil, it's the rooms stay red if you haven't found all the items or whatever, and they go green once you found everything, or a map icon gets checked off you've 100% exposed. You don't do that in Elden Ring. So I can see it on there. I'm I've been there because it's got the icon. It's but I didn't fully explore it. And then it was funny because what was I forget what I was looking for, but I was curious the way I got down there eventually. I found some little back entrance that leads down. But I saw in a video someone who was playing it, because I tried not to watch any of the DLC content. So when I was watching someone later play it, going back and rewatching their videos, the way they got down there was they jumped with the horse down, and then jumped off a wall against a wall instead of actually going down the way that I did, that's safer. So it was really funny watching them do that. I was okay, I guess I could have done it because I thought about doing that, but I was I didn't want to chance it.
There's definitely speedrun strats that you can do. I've watched I've been watching a little bit of people kind of routing the DLC and trying to figure out speedrun, but I've also been watching a lot of challenge videos, especially of Little Aggie. He posts a lot of challenge videos, and he's been posting DLC bingo with other people. That's been really interesting, and he uses some speedrun stuff to try to get to tree fragments faster and stuff like that. And he'll do some stuff that is just oh fuck, why didn't I try that? You can get there so much faster, because I did have that village specifically. I had a lot of trouble finding out how to get down there until Michael was finally like, hey, you need to go to this place. I was like, I've been to that place. I don't know how to get there. And he's like, just go to the left. I'm like, oh, fuck. I didn't go to the left. But yeah, it's the interesting thing about it is like towards the end of the DLC, I would kind of look at the map a little bit more critically and be like, okay, I want to get to this area and it's oddly connected to these places. So let me go to these places and see if there's anything that I missed or if there's something nearby that looks like it might lead to that area. So it's like it kind of leads you to analyze the way that the map is drawn a little bit more. But also could be a little bit misleading too, because it's like, well, this is clearly connected, and in the game it's actually not. So yeah, interesting way that they spread out the content in that tiny little map.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of underground stuff. Like when I got down to that one area that leads down to the Orphan of Kos horse rider dude, it was like, okay, this is just all underneath the water, and there's this giant area down here. I mean, it was fine, but it's like, it also is like, there's not much here to do. It's just like, it's just an extra boss. Like there's no, I guess there's the quest line that's down there because there's that NPC, which is so like, talk to this NPC 4 times. And then this is like, okay, come on, man, really? Like this is so, like even the guy in the chair when I was doing his thing last night, and I was like, you're like, talk to him again. And I'm like, oh, and then talk to him again. And then it's like, what? I would have never thought to just, I mean, I exhaust dialogue is a thing, but it's like, rest, then talk, and then rest, then talk, and then he's gone. And then you can open the chair. And it's like, what? But
there wasn't, to be fair, yeah, that's very like, I didn't play much of the older games, but I feel like that's a very older game type of thing. And the only time I can remember specifically something similar is like with Fia at the end of her quest line. You have to like keep resting at the Grace until she passes out or whatever. And it's like, that's the only time in the base game that something like that actually happens. But
yeah, I'm like, who is the person that does this? Like, there's gotta be someone who's like, oh, I'm just gonna try this. Like, cause I like the Fia thing. Like, I just like, I just looked up the guide on how to do that, finish that quest line or whatever. It's like, who's the person going out there like, yo, I'm just gonna try some shit and see what sticks. Like, it's like the speedrun strat. Like, here's like something that kind of works, a mechanic from a previous game. We'll try to replicate it in this game somehow, but in different spots. And it's like, okay, well, some of the old games, the way you progress it is you do this, so we'll just try this, yada yada. But like the die multiple times, I'm like, come on, man. Like after the 3rd time, it's like, definition of insanity. Like, why do I? And then you had to do it more. And it was like, even after, I was like, are you kidding me? I was like,
you have to do it like 2 more times to get the full dialogue. Yeah.
Miyazaki, you've done it again. But it's just like, what is going on, man? But I mean, it's fun. And I'm at the point now where it's like, now that I have access to, I think, all the map, I might not have explored some spots. But now it's like all bosses essentially. So I think what I'm going to do is I got to look up, like, I need one more Erdtree fragment, and then I think I'll be at 15 or 16 rather. That means I'll only have 12 fragments I'm missing to get to the max, if max is 20. So I'm like, okay, they have to be in the new areas I've been to. And I feel like I haven't come across too many of them. Because since I stopped at Mesmer to going back and actually playing the game, more fully, I've gone from like, I think either 11 or 12 to 15 or to 15. So I found a good amount of Erdtree fragments since getting to Mesmer, just, going there and then getting access to the rest of the map. So I feel like I made good progress there. Now it's just a question of, okay, are they hidden? Because typically they're pretty easy to spot, or it's like close to an area you explore, like it's always near those like little crosses you come across that are near sites of grace, so you always find those. Other ones sometimes are kind of hidden around, like there's one like a camp, but it's like you can find it because you kind of just run around the camp to kind of dodge some enemies sometimes anyways early in the game. And then like you find some in the castles, but it's like you're typically running around exploring the castles anyhow. So it's like there's got to be just like some one-offs that's like, oh, I didn't look around a rock or something, and so I'll just have to go back. And of course there's no way to like check them off. I think Extra Life has that feature, but you have to be a member. But I'll just have to go back and see, like, okay, in the new areas I've been to, which ones haven't I gotten? So I can at least max that out before I complete stuff. But yeah,
I will say there is a boss that you have access to right now that's blocking a few of them that I know of specifically. And then if you've ever come across those ghost like in the humanoid ghost guys, if they have like a little pot over their head and they're sparkly, they have them. So
yeah, I figured that out on because they run away too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, you're acting just like crystal lizards. Like, so, but I think I've only seen 2 of them. There's one in the first plane. It was like over by an encampment. I saw him. I killed him because I was on my horse, but I just ran through and I didn't realize he dropped it because I wasn't paying attention. I just like killed him and then kept running through. I was exploring. And then later I went back there because I like died and I was like, okay, let's just kind of run around, whatever. I went through it again and then attacked him because he was kind of sparkly. I think maybe I've seen a couple of those, but the one area I'm curious if I can get to is I guess I can get there. I know there is that one place I need to explore. I don't know. I'm just talking about what I need to do in the game, but I know there's like a.
And you're pointing at things that I clearly can't see.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at it right now, like running explore. Like I know there's like one of those in the top left. There's like that bridge where there's the one torch giant has come the brazier giant, and it's like you cross the bridge, and I didn't explore that, and I think there's like a point of interest over there. I got to go back and explore that, but overall, I think I've explored everything, maybe except the there's like just some small spots. So what I have to do is I got to look at a map and just turn on like POI icons, and then just look at my map and say like, okay, which ones am I missing? Make sure I explore those before I do anything else. But yeah, I guess I'm kind of close. Because I'm assuming Mesmer is a gating boss to, I'm assuming, access to the final, because there is that first castle you go to that has the thorns. It's like, you beat, I want to say, it's not Renala. R'Lana, there we go. You beat them and you go up and it's like, oh, there's some, just like with the Erdtree in the base game when you get to the Lindell, and it's like, oh, you can't go here yet because you haven't, gone to the fire giant's place and yada 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 to get access. So I'm assuming once I beat Mesmer, maybe it gives me access to that area. But yeah,
Mesmer is blocking just one area of the map. So if you come across an area that's like it tells you can't go up, or if it's like you're obviously blocked from going up or anything like that, that's the area that he's blocking. Pretty much it's one little section of the map that I think you kind of hovered over or mentioned last time you were streaming. But pretty much the rest of the map can be explored without beating him. But you will eventually come across an area where it's like, okay, this is obviously what he's blocking.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because I'm looking at point of interest location. I'm like, okay, yeah, there's not too much left that I need to get. But yeah, I'll look forward to going back and playing some more of that. But again, now it's just in that boss rush mode. Maybe I'll just
pretty much
play today and grab Erdtree fragments or Scatree fragments, and then that way I don't have to go farm them on stream, and then the stream could just be boss rushing or whatever. But yeah, I haven't played too much else. Just kind of that. Man, so I it was funny. I talked about before where like I don't know if I talked about it on the podcast, but like I typically don't watch a lot of Twitch, and then I started watching some more Twitch recently, and it just like eats up your download cap. So I'm like, I had to add the unlimited on there, and it was so funny. Like on, at least for Comcast, like they have your different download speeds, and you can see them. And there's one, and it says like, I think they're advertising their gigabit, and it's like download like it says on there like, oh, you can watch, you could do this, you could do this. And just recently, I feel like they started adding the tagline, download a AAA game in 7 minutes. I'm like, I guess, I mean, I can download some games pretty quick, but it's just like such a funny, like they know their target audience for these higher tier speeds. Like,
I feel like I used to have internet that did that, and it lasted for like 6 months or something before people realized, oh, we should all do this, and now it's like the standard to market it like that, but then it doesn't actually work. It still takes like an hour and a half to download anything.
Well, I download pretty quick, like on mine. Like even when I was at, I think the highest I went was like 800 as the tier, and I dropped down, but I still get over the limit of the tier, which is funny. Shh, don't tell anybody. But yeah,
having a limit
super quick
is insane to me. I would hit that so quickly because I had to get unlimited for my cell phone plan, just because I'm driving more for work, so it's like I'm not obviously connected to Wi-Fi as often. But having that as like my home internet, I think I would go to my ISP's office and light a little fire outside if they did that.
Yeah, because I
what are
used
you
to be
doing?
fine. Like the 1.2 terabytes, I think was the limit, like the cap. And then you got like a little bit of an allowance like the first time, but like for every 50 gigs over, it was like an extra $10 up to $40 extra max. So it wouldn't be like, insane. But like I wouldn't hit it, even though my kids watching YouTube, my wife's watching shows, my youngest is watching YouTube Kids, I'm watching YouTube. Like that was fine. But it's like Twitch specifically, I felt like was the thing. Adding that in really kind of pushed it over the edge to where I used to like get to the point where I had to like monitor, like I get notified like, hey, you've reached 75% of your data cap from Comcast, and be like, okay, if I need to download a game or I want to re-download a game or there's updates, like I turned off automated updates on PS5 because I was like, stop. Sometimes there's games where like, especially if if it does like anytime the PS5 does like a recompiling data or something like that, it will ping. It does the thing where it pings every game in your library for updates, and I'm like, don't do that. Don't download updates for games I'm not playing. That's going to eat into my data cap. So I'd be like,
See,
okay,
that's insane to me.
Yeah, I'd
that's
wait
like
till the
having
end.
to wait, monitor that.
Yeah, but again, it's funny because like it wasn't like that too much, even like a year ago. Like it wasn't really that bad. It's just like Twitch, man. I feel like it's just downloading it's just so much to watch Twitch, I guess. Like I don't get it. And it's just like
I do watch a lot of Twitch. Like that's the thing. Instead of going to YouTube, the first thing I do is go on Twitch and see who's streaming, especially like after work while I'm eating and stuff like that. I'll go on and see who's streaming and stuff like that. So it's like I watch a lot of Twitch.
Twitch has become my like background noise when I am cooking or just want something playing. And like it's not usually like a TV show or anything more, just because I don't really want to like be in the other room, and I just don't put TV shows on my laptop for some reason. So yeah, Twitch for me eats up a shit ton just because it's constantly on, just playing something for white noise.
Yeah, and I typically never watched it because I like the only person I ever watched on Twitch mainly, or who was like a Twitch streamer whose content I'd watch was like Northernlion, but then he put all his content on YouTube. If it was like a game series I wanted to watch, I just watch on YouTube because YouTube has a better viewing experience from a video standpoint, from as far as VOD perspective, playlists, this and that. And then he have editors who would just edit on their own and make short versions of his VOD stream from like 5 hours down to like an hour and 40 minutes of all like the bits that they thought were funny. And so I'd watch those on YouTube. But the Twitch streamers I'm watching now are like, smaller ones. So it's like I'm interacting with them. I'm also chatting is the only reason I will watch them. It's like, okay, they're in, again, found them through Liza P, helped them out, beat that game, and then just watching them play and then, type in chat, this and that. So it's like, if I wasn't doing that, I probably wouldn't watch as much. So I guess Liza P's at fault for this. But yeah, it's like I'm not watching. I still won't watch like Northernlion live or other people live, like the bigger ones. Like I'll just watch their YouTube content when it goes there, because then it's easier. It's not appointment viewing for me. Their stuff's like I'll wait. But these other streamers, like, hey, they're going live. I'm like, yeah, I'll come by, say hi, this and that, just chit chat. It's like you can't say hi to someone who's got like 10,000 people watching and chat's just PogChamp, PopCap, whatever. This, I'm like, I can't type anything. It's all gonna get missed. Like there's no way. So, but anyway.
Speaking of background Twitch stuff, I've been watching a lot of GDQ because they have programming basically every day now. And right now
which is really weird to me, but continue.
They're doing a mini charity stream type of thing right now, where they're trying to speedrun all of their games hitless, which is really interesting. And yesterday somebody did an Elden Ring, but they controlled it with a digital saxophone. And he only got hit 3 times in his run, which was absolutely insane to me. So it's like stuff like that I've been watching a lot of.
Yeah, I don't know. I like having something on in the background, and that helps a lot.
Yeah, GDQ is usually my like background noise type of thing. If nobody else I know is streaming, I'll just have this on and watching them do stupid things with video games.
He's upset that he can't go in his brother's room because his brother wants to go and relax and yada yada. So that door's right next to this door. I was hoping like the noise suppression would cut it enough, because like the noise suppression is great at cutting like fans that are blowing directly at the mic. But I guess like because his is more like that noise bit, I'm like, I guess I can go and try to modify, like, if I put in a proper noise gate in Wavelink, I could do that and like be like, okay, let's see what it pitches at when he's outside the door screaming, make that the threshold. But then I'm like, but then I can't be like, then I'm going to start talking like, oh, yeah, that's a good time, this and that. And then it cuts me out. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I have to just right up on that mic.
Which wavelength is the baby scream?
Yeah, that's right. I gotta raise that threshold down there. But yeah, I was trying to go through my notes, see if there's anything else I want to talk about. Man, there's this like annoying trend of, and I notice it more on YouTube Shorts, but like any sort of like real short stories. You already hate it. Where like, so there's some people who do this thing where like they'll edit the short in such a way that it loops. And I'm like, that's fine if you do it well. But people, like, these websites are doing it in such a way where they're doing it with interview questions, where it starts with someone, like it was, what's her name? Daphne Keane from Logan. And it was an interview with her. And she starts talking like, oh, yeah, the first time I, saw Hugh Jackman, yada, yada, and she starts talking this and that. And then it ends with the interviewer asking the question that leads into that answer. So that's it. Like it starts with the answer and it like Tarantino's itself. And that's how it loops. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Just start with the question and end with the answer. Like it's a minute video. Just do that. Just why are you doing this dumb loop thing? And then there's some that I've seen where people will loop it in also really weird ways. I'm like, why would you do this? Because then it seems like they're ending it with like, oh, hey, here's some more stuff. And nope, it's just the same thing. And I'm like, because if you're watching it and she's telling the story about her and Hugh Jackman, and then it ends with them asking a question, you think it's going to be additional stuff. It's like, no, it's the lead into the answer that it started with. Like, why would you do that? It's such a dumb way to do it. But it's just this weird trend I've noticed where like news outlets do it and like some normal people do it. And it's like, and I've seen it where it's like, it's done well. Like, oh, it's like a GIF that loops perfectly. But I've seen it's like, oh, this is really nice. The way this reel loops, that's really cool. But it's like people do it like poorly. And I'm like, you don't understand that what you're supposed to be doing here. So I don't know.
You're just really making this for SEO and for algorithm bullshit. You clearly don't care about making this kind of content.
Yeah, it was just frustrating. But anyways, I don't have any other notes. I was trying to go through and see if I had anything else. I'm surprised I didn't tag any more stuff. I think it's just because I've been playing Elden Ring. It's like, all right, it's kind of straightforward. I didn't play anything new, ever since I beat Frostpunk 2. Haven't done much else, although I guess I probably won't pick up Silent Hill until I finish Elden Ring. Because at this point, I'm like, I don't want... Oh, man, that's the other thing, too. I was playing... I was kind of alternating between Elden Ring and I was replaying Oddworld Abe's Exoddus as a PlayStation classic. And I was trying to do a 300 run. And because I'm like, oh, I know where like all the secrets are. Plus in the sequel, they do a really good job of like putting little hints that, hey, there's a secret entrance or exit to another panel in this scene with the brew bottles. Like it's really nice, especially when you're in the wilds and what have you. I thought it was really cool. But then I got like pretty close to the end and I looked, I'm like, oh, I have this many Mudakin saved. And I'm like, where should I be if I was doing a perfect 300? So I pulled up a YouTube video, got right to the same, no return point that I'm at in the game, and I'm 7 shy. And I'm like, damn it. And so I'm like, I missed 7 somehow, and I don't know where. I kind of want to go back. The problem is like, I'm only missing 7. That could be one secret area or, 4 secret areas. And so I'm like, I kind of want to go back and see which ones I missed, but it kind of, took the wind out of my sails. I'm like, man, I'm just really hoping to get 300. Because I know I remember trying to do a 300 back in the day, like when I was younger, and I also came up short. But I thought, like, oh, I can do it this time. So I bet the ones that I miss now are the same ones I probably missed as a kid. That's why I didn't know that they were there. But yeah, a little frustrating. I'm like, damn it. I should have made multiple saves because I would have just like sped run the game to go through. But yeah, that was fun. It was funny. Like there was some like European streamer who was playing it doing a speed run, and then some NA streamer who was also playing it. Because I looked at like, oh, no one's, because OBS will tell you, like, put in your games like no one's streaming this. Like there's 0 viewers. And then one day I went in there and it's like, oh, there's 35 viewers. I'm like, who's streamed this? And like, yeah, it was the speedrunner. And then I saw like 60 another day, and it's like, oh, there's someone, she just came back to streaming. I guess she took a break and she was playing Oddworld Apes Exodus for whatever reason. I mean, I guess the same as me. Why am I playing this game from, 97, 98? But
For funsies.
yeah, exactly. I like the game a lot. It's just fun. But yeah, so I'm like, damn it. So I kind of stopped there, and that's kind of why I've been playing more. I switched over to Elden Ring. I'm like, I don't want to continue knowing that I've already failed. Like, I guess I shouldn't have checked and just assume I was on the right track. But oh well. But all right, we can go ahead and wrap it up there. I don't have any other things to note. So yeah, thank you all for tuning and listening. Thank you, Izzy. Thank you, Zaya, for joining.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Later.